Beginning in the northwest corner, we find tiny, frigid villages clinging desperately to the coastline. Icewind Dale and its neighbors of Fireshear, Ironmaster, and Hundelstone endure beyond the capacity for southern folk to imagine. In winter, these communities are bathed in 88 days of perpetual darkness. Their relief comes mid-spring when the sun peaks above the horizon and brightens the sky, bringing cherished warmth and sunshine. Only during the summer months can the residents of these villages see, farther to the west across the Great Ice Sea, the Ice Peak, where a small fishing village of thick-skinned humans live. These rugged people are known for the prey they hunt every year, the huge blue whales. These beasts pass through the strait, and they give chase in kayaks. East and north of Icewind Dale is the endless ice sea, a trackless and desolate landscape ruled by glaciers, remorhaz, orcs, and goblins. This tortured land is visited only by crazed human adventurers looking for legendary sites of power and magic. East of Hundelstone, where the iceflow plunges to the sea, the spine of the north, the tallest peaks in Faerun, stand like sentinels, protecting much of the frontier from the unbearable chill of the far north. This line of mountains stretches from the sea of moving ice almost to Anauroch. To the south are the temperate hardwood forests of the High Forest, Lurkwood, Moonwood, and Neverwinter woods. Moors like the Evermoors and High Moor dot the landscape like scattered ink upon parchment. Along the Sword Coast, one finds the strongest elements of civilization. Here, the great trade towns of Lilyn, Luskan, Neverwinter, Portlast, and Waterdeep keep the area from falling into complete chaos. The central portion of the northern Sword Coast is underlain by several cavern systems. The endless caverns of the High Forest, the underground river system of the High Moor, accessed from Dragonspear Castle far to the south, and the caverns under Mount Waterdeep that dwarves expanded into Undermountain. The Time of Troubles. This is actually an important text when it comes to Lilly's story, as it details events not only, of her divine father Bhaal, the Lord of Murder, but it also provides parallels for her current predicament. The year was 1358 Dale Reckoning. It's only about 14 years ago. In that year, Ao, also known as He Who Was Hidden, a sort of ruler or father of the gods, cast out the other gods beneath him from the plains. And he forced them to walk the realms as avatars of their former divine selves, and as mortals as well. So obviously this is very similar to Lilly's crisis now, where she's been cast out of Moor, except for her by trickery at the hands of Cyric, the Prince of Lies, and forced to walk the realms as her former mortal self, with only a hint of the divine in her soul. Back then, it was known as the Time of Troubles, the Godswar, or the Avatar Crisis. The only god who wasn't cast out was Helm. He retained his divine power and was commanded by Ao to guard the path back to the plains, to prevent the other gods from returning home. None could return until the Tablets of Fate, which had been stolen from Ao, were returned to him. During that time, Mystra, the goddess of magic, she was destroyed, which I think caused both wild and dead magic zones to come into existence for the first time. Also, Waukeen, the goddess of coins and wealth, just disappeared. And then there was Lilly's divine father, Bhaal, the god of murder. Initially, he was already weakened because of the Avatar Crisis, but then he was further weakened when Bane slew every single assassin in Faerun. Now, as incredible of a claim as that sounds, I just want to point out that the tumultuous events from the Time of Troubles is actually how TSR tried to explain a lot of the changes going from Advanced D&D First Edition to the then new Second Edition. In particular, one of these changes was the removal of the assassin class, hence the elimination of all assassins on the face of Faerun. You can find equally bold changes as Wizards of the Coast moves into successive editions, including the latest 4th edition, with detailed events from 1478 Dale Reckoning onwards. I think the current campaign year corresponds to 1481 Dale Reckoning. Although, in this game, the current year is 1372 Dale Reckoning. Confused yet? Anyway, Bhaal, weakened, was finally destroyed at the Boaraskyr Bridge by the then mortal Cyric, who absorbed most of Bhaal's divine power. The rest of it went into the Winding Water River, poisoning it. Now, this is actually a fact that Lily knows, but she hasn't been able to conceive of a way to actually harvest that divine essence to help her return to Moor. So instead, she clings to the hope of finding her old, worn-out boots. Also, one power that Bhaal had while he was an avatar and before he was destroyed, which I believe all the exiled gods had, was the power to possess living beings. Lily likely has this power, but simply hasn't discovered it yet. There are also some other strange powers she's acquired as a result of her exile, which she's not aware of either, and she'll likely discover all these new powers in time. Another mortal, Midnight, became the new incarnation of Mistro, the goddess of magic, absorbing her essence from the land, eventually even assuming her name. Actually, that was the fate that Lily was worried was in store for her at the Throne of Bhaal. She didn't want to simply become the new Bhaal incarnate, losing all sense of her former identity. She wanted to remain autonomous, which she did, thankfully. And so, Cyric became the new god of not only murder, but strife, tyranny, and death, holding the portfolios of other slain gods besides Bhaal. Anyway, eventually, the Avatar crisis came to a close, but some gods were now dead, like Bhaal, and some mortals were now gods, like Cyric and Midnight. The rise, 10 years later, of Bhaal's divine daughter, Lily Black, as the new Lady of Murder, and her fall, as we saw at the beginning of this series, is Lily's story that began at Candlekeep and is still being told even now, and will continue in the sequel to this game as well as others like Dragon Age. How will it end? That's not something that even I know yet, but anything is possible. As they say, it's yet to be written. $12 gold. So far, a spectacular heist. For amateurs. Slightly disheartened by the less than stellar spoils so far, the Blacklake burglars decide to rest for a bit. Lily and Little Red rest their feet for a while in bed in what must be a guest bedroom, laughing at having dirty boots atop clean linens, wondering if the prints left behind will somehow be incriminating, and if the servants would be bothered to allow dirty laundry to be taken into evidence. They can't rest for too long, though. Black, barred bones, and Boar. As in the western heartlands, the north is dotted with small holds, walled cities, and tiny settlements of retired adventurers and petty lords. Some, like Loudwater and Lyland, have grown into full-fledged cities. Others, like the Herald's Holdfast and the Lonely Tower, have perished, leaving ghostly reminders of humankind's passage, nature's cruelty, or the land's savagery. The most outstanding feature of the area, however, is not natural but artificial. The great port city of Waterdeep, by far the most important city in the north. Indeed, even though Waterdeep's population is smaller than that of the great southern cities, the Jewel of the North is considered the most influential in all the Western realms. And although settled for centuries, the North still has wild areas. The spine of the world is mined by humans and dwarves at Mirabar, and by dwarves farther east, but numerous goblin holds remain. Other hilly areas also provide lairs, notably Crags, Graypeak, and the Nether Range. Several forested areas blanket the region. Most are unexplored. The northern portion of the coast is best characterized by its rich mountains and evil creatures. The north remains a land of riches, unequaled mineral wealth, and seemingly endless stands of high-quality timber not found elsewhere in Faerun. Game is plentiful and the land is beautiful, but be warned, danger is lurking, and for the most part, the law of the north is written by the steel edge of a good blade. This is the north that Lilly has found herself trapped in. Cold, desolate, and bitter. Otherwise, the unpreparedness of the Blacklake burglars doesn't stop with their lack of black thieving masks. Neither did they bring a garrote. Not that the company can't handle a small contingent of guards all at once, but what if they need to eliminate a single guard quietly? A strong wire with hardwood handles would do nicely from behind. Sure, some thieves consider it a vile practice, especially when a more cunning and less brutal method could be pursued, but since when has Lilly cared about being humane? Without one, they'll be forced to alert half the estate to their presence when trying to pass the guard. Like amateurs. Nor did they bring sleeping gas, a typical alternative to the garrote. Packaged in a sturdy stoppered flask designed to break easily on impact, one vial would contain enough liquid to instantly lay low a man-sized creature. Sure, they know sleep spells, but it's kind of hard not to attract attention while murmuring incantations and gesturing with one's hands in order to cast them. And they didn't bring any diversionary devices either, like bamsmacks. Typically from Shaolong, these tiny segments of bamboo contain ordinary salt, and if a string on the bamsmack is set on fire and thrown, the device splits apart with a loud smack. Or devices like gigwhorls, tight wound tops typically from Calimshan with a lock and spring mechanism. If thrown, they hit the ground and whirl, making a loud clattering noise. Without these things, they'll likely give away their position with every step and every breath. Like amateurs. Alright, looks like 2 guards. You know what? If they haven't noticed, man, with that camera. Alright, so think. Just gonna try to get a wand of sleep out there. Oh boy. Alright, it's more than that. Wow. 5 or 6 of them. You know what? Wand of fire.
All right, crew. Let's take them down.
All right, another wand of fire. Better hurry up. Alright, Rod of Frost.
You
Wow, the line of sight's so bad. You know what? I'm gonna take a chance. Want to sleep? Alright. Negative energy. Alright, they just killed Bones. Rod of Frost. Negative energy. Alright, recalling Bones. Neither did they bring a hacksaw. What if the urn is locked behind metal bars? A dwarven-constructed blade made of fire-hardened steel could easily cut through metal, and a superior-grade blade with diamond-chipped teeth could even cut through mithril or adamantine. Without one, they'll be forced to leave empty-handed. Like amateurs. Nor did they bring a glass cutter. Not that they'd be trying to breach a window, but what if the urn is locked in a glass display case? The diamond head of a glass cutter would be guaranteed to score even the thickest and most refined glass. They'd only need to plant the sap spong in the center of the pane, score a circle, and gently tap to create a hole that even Little Red could squeeze through. Without it, they'll be forced to shatter glass. Like amateurs.